Not a lot of news, but some interesting stuff. So the first story here comes by way of Polygon, Allegra Frank over at Polygon, and this is basically her retelling of the Business Insider story. And it's how someone got an Xbox One before there even was an Xbox One. Microsoft let a prototype console out into the wild before official reveal. Microsoft unveiled the Xbox One in May 2013, just ahead of that year's E3, sorry. But one customer had unwittingly seen the console in real life before the rest of the world. The publication, Business Insider, recounts Gia Lee's story, probably saying that wrong, from March 2013, when an attempt to buy a new Microsoft laptop nabbed him an actual Xbox One prototype. Although the black and white tape may throw off today's Xbox One owner, it was the game system alright, evidenced by what appeared on screen when Lee plugged it in. Microsoft didn't ship him a controller, Kinect, or any other fixings. Obviously, it was a mistake. The word crypto showed up when the system was on. That was allegedly a code name for the hardware when it was in development. How Lee ended up with the Xbox One before Microsoft had even unveiled it to the world is weirdly simple. Business Insider explains the company, eager to keep the hardware under wraps until it was ready for the world to see, stored Xbox One beta systems in a Microsoft shipment facility. They weren't meant to be sent out to people, of course, but some error or another led to Lee becoming the world's first Xbox One owner, at least for a short while. After some negotiations, Mr. Lee and Microsoft made contact, according to Business Insider. In March 2013, a Microsoft representative arrived and retrieved the prototype. And in return, he got an Xbox 360, along with the laptop he originally ordered. Years later, the Xbox One is no longer the hottest model of Xbox on the market. There's the Xbox One S, yada, 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 talking about the Scorpio. The other part of the story that isn't in this story, but it's in the Business Insider one, is that Engadget actually were the first ones contacted by Mr. Lee, and he basically sent out an email saying, hey, I have this thing, the Xbox One Cryptos, and they jumped on it, and they were actually really close to unveiling this before it was even announced by Microsoft, but they actually got in touch with Microsoft, and they made a deal with Microsoft that instead of basically putting out that story of the Xbox One and leaking it, they made a deal so they would have exclusive content once the Xbox One was revealed. So
backdoor shady deals.
Yeah, exactly. I would much rather, as a consumer of video games, the story of that guy getting the Xbox is way more interesting than read our exclusive stories of the Xbox One at release. You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but Engadget gets more money off of the latter.
Exactly. I understand why, but I would love to see the other.
I get why you do that if you're Microsoft, though. I mean, obviously you want to control your message, so that was cool. That was impressive of them to stomp that leak out.
Also, imagine how much they had to they had, like, basically Engadget had the whole deal on their side. They could negotiate whatever they wanted, you know, because Microsoft didn't want this to leak.
They have the leverage.
Exactly. So that was an interesting story, really cool.
So, just real quick, two things on this. First of all, if you see the picture with the black and white stripes on this, it looks like a really cool Xbox One skin.
Yeah.
It's like, I almost wish that they had that for sale. And then two, the fact that they sent a person down there to retrieve it and didn't just have them ship it back is really telling that they were like super serious about that.
Yeah.
And they gave him some free shit.
Yeah. Exactly. They're like, here's a
360.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Which I would have been like, give me an Xbox One when this thing comes out. I'll much rather take that.
Yeah, why did they give him a 3? Like, hey, we know that you just received the new Xbox, but here's a 360 that came out 7 years ago.
Exactly.
Instead of going to Engadget and having them do that negotiation, he should have, I don't know if this is possible, he should have went to Microsoft directly and been like, hey, I'm going to go tell this. Yeah, I'm going to go show this to some news outlet.
$10,000 real quick, boys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
agreed. So the next story...
Ransom.
Yeah. The next story here is news to Jordan's ears. I think he's super excited. This comes by way of Polygon.com. Smith Sakar writes, Assassin's Creed The Ezio Collection confirmed for November on PS4 and Xbox One. A couple of podcasts ago, we talked about this supposedly leaking, that the Ezio Collection was a real thing. And basically, yeah, it was announced. Ubisoft is remastering and repackaging the last 3 generation Assassin's Creed games, starring Ezio Auditore da Firenze, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Yeah, I've never pronounced the da Firenze part, so. Into a bundle known as Assassin's Creed The Ezio Collection. And the official release date is the 15th, right? Or is it the 17th? 15th, right here.
15th,
yeah.
Yes.
Which is set for release November 15th on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. If you're not familiar, it features 2009's Assassin's Creed 2, 2010's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and 2011's Assassin's Creed Revelations. If you're not familiar with the Assassin's Creed franchise, this is considered to be the holy grail of the franchise. This is the story or the arc that matters in that series above all else. I think they're Assassin's Creed 2 is my favorite out of all the Assassin's Creed games. And I just love the upgrade systems late in that game, Jordan, where you can like upgrade the city and like your armor and stuff like that. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. And they even bridged that into Brotherhood, which that's my favorite of the three. And it's that, Syndicate, and Unity are my three favorite AC games. So, yeah, man, I cannot wait to play this. We already talked on this podcast about how I was going to be missing Assassin's Creed game this year, even though they were having the movie, that I was probably going to play Rogue. I'm sure I'll still play Rogue at some point, but yeah, I am definitely going to be picking this up. Same probably with the BioShock collection. I've already played these games, so I'll probably just wait until it's, like $30 or $40 maybe. But still very excited. And yeah, I think this was kind of a no-brainer, and just super excited they decided to do this.
Also, it's going to be $60, but you can get an $8 off. You can get $8 off of a ticket to the film Assassin's Creed if you pre-order it, I guess is what they're saying. Also, it comes with all the add-ons, as well as, and I didn't know this, it comes with Assassin's Creed Lineage, which is a 36-minute short film that serves as a prequel to Assassin's Creed 2, and it also comes with Assassin's Creed Embers, which is an animated epilogue to Revelations. So it comes with some extra content.
Those are both awesome, so I'm really glad. I saw that on IGN yesterday. I was really excited to see that they were putting that in there, because this, with these 5 pieces of entertainment, you really do have the whole Ezio story. And I'm also glad that now I'm trying to think. I guess they didn't have multiplayer until AC3. Do you remember, Jared?
I'm pretty sure. Didn't Brotherhood have it? Because Brotherhood, they showed off like the different types of like masks and stuff, didn't they? And then that was like a big thing in the multiplayer, is you can look different. Like you can look like some of the other assassins.
I know in Brotherhood you built your own Brotherhood offline, like in the single-player campaign.
I might be thinking of Revelations. It was one of the Ezio trilogy games, though. Obviously, it wasn't 2. It was one of those 2 that started the multiplayer. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. This is just single-player, which I'm totally cool with. I like that.
I think this is... like a lot of people say there's like with these really big franchises, like for instance Mass Effect. I always say that if you can only play one of the 3 Mass Effect games, I would say 2, because it's the best blending of everything. I think that the Ezio Collection, now that it's obviously going to be remastered and stuff, the Ezio trilogy, I think it's probably the must play out of the entire Assassin's Creed series, in my opinion. I think it gives you a real sense of what this franchise is supposed to be. And it has, I think that... Sorry,
2's a great starting point.
Yeah. I think it has one of the closest connections to the protagonist that you'll get in any of the games. I'm not saying the other games are bad, but I think the connection to Ezio early on, and just going through that arc, seeing him go from a young man to an old man, is really astonishing and really interesting. So,
yeah, people regard him as the best assassin from the games, and I would say that's generally true. Edward Kenway was pretty likable, but yeah, Ezio is probably the best out of the games. Now the expanded universe is a whole different story, but
also Kenway's awesome, but I would say that Black Flag is probably the least Assassin's Creed out of all of the games.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's more a pirate game almost, but
exactly.
This, of course, we still have people complaining about remasters, even though it's clearly a big part of the industry these days. Both the BioShock collection and the Ezio collection, those are classic games from last generation that I feel are totally warranted for a remaster, because especially like AC2, AC Brotherhood, you go back and play those now and they look a little rough. They aren't terrible looking, but I am very glad to see them getting some polish.
Also, this kind of... I think people are mad that remasters happen, but I think it's also a way to combat that, video games age and video games die. People's, Game Boy cartridges die and they don't have those games anymore. So as long as the remasters still capture that same spirit and they don't change too much of the original games, I think it's great for video games. And also it's like a collection. You're not buying one remastered game. I think you get the value there for the 60,
Yeah, so, 3 amazing Assassin's Creed games. Well, Revelation isn't amazing.
All of their DLC.
All the DLC and those 2 features with the Lineage and Embers. Yeah, I think you're totally getting your money's worth here.
100%.
I still wish they did number 3. That's the one I never played. I want to go back to. I know I'm in the vast minority there, but
Dude, just
I
played
love American history. So
play it on PC. I'm sure you could run it.
That game,
That's the best place to play that game.
I own that game since release, and I never got around to playing it. It was just one of those things of like, something else came out, I didn't play it, and then I just heard so many people say it wasn't a great Assassin's Creed experience. And you're supposed to play it yourself and kind of figure it out, but like, I was like, should I commit time to it? Should I, pause on other games? And I was like, well, if people aren't really loving it, I'm really enjoying what I'm playing now, so it's not really something I want to go to, And then I played Black Flag, and I love Black Flag, so I don't really feel I missed out with 3. So
They made a lot of mistakes with 3. It was really overly ambitious. The story was really drawn out. It got pretty long and boring, and a lot of people, that's their least favorite. I would say it's pretty low on the list for me. I think it's better than 1.
I think that game did something really great, though, and it had a Native American main protagonist, which I think the only other video game to do that was, like, Prey. And, like, I know a lot of, like, obviously I'm from New Mexico, and there's quite a bit of, like, a Native American population here. And a couple of my friends who are Native American and gamers love Assassin's Creed 3 because it gave them that relatable character finally. So I thought that was really cool. Whether it's a good game or a bad game, I think that was awesome. So that was some good Ubisoft news. Some bad Ubisoft news. It was announced today via their blog that South Park: The Fractured Butthole will now launch on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, not on December 6th, but rather Q1 2017. They didn't give an exact date, which I actually like this more when people delay games as opposed to giving another specific release date.
Right.
I would much rather be like, yeah, we can't meet this date. Here's a window, and we'll figure out what works. Because if you give a window, you can make earlier or later.
I wouldn't even do that. I would just say the game's delayed. We'll let you know when it's ready.
Yeah, that's what I love that Cappy did with Below. They're just like, next time you'll hear from us, the game's going to be done and ready to be put out. They're like, we're not letting you know when it's going to come out. Just next time we talk, it'll be the game coming out. And
exactly.
This makes sense. We were talking about this earlier. This hits a week after, or a little more than a week after Black Friday. And that's definitely a date you want to hit with any type of entertainment. The deals, getting people in the stores to buy stuff for the holiday season. Right. And usually people do a lot of their bulk shopping on Black Friday. They do some shopping obviously leading up to it. You see the stores, they go crazy. But I think this was kind of a case of maybe they felt that this wasn't the best release date for it. I was joking around before that I felt that maybe this was, because the Ezio Collection, they wanted to sell better with the movie and everything, so they're pushing their other game out. But if you really think about it, they're not even the same type of game. They're completely different audiences.
Yeah.
Is this actually is this more of a beneficial move for you guys? I know, Dom, you said you were interested in it. It being in Q1 now, is that better for you than it being December 6th, or were you excited to play something over the holiday?
I mean, it's fine for me. It's probably better because now that frees up some space for me this holiday. Now I can probably jump into BioShock Collection, or actually maybe even Skyrim Remastered or something like that. In the meantime, I'm not, there's plenty to play, I guess, during this time. I'm fine waiting. But more importantly, I guess, like, there's very few publishers that I will believe when they tell me a release date anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
That's okay. And that's okay. I'm not up in arms about these delays because it's better for the games ultimately. But it's like, I'm not going to believe you unless you're Bethesda or
especially if it's Sony
Call
first party.
Duty. And if you're a Sony first party, add minimum 1 year to whatever day they tell you.
I mean, if we went through just the AAA releases, and of course indies get delayed all the time, but just the AAA releases this year, which, of the actual...
More than 50%.
Of the actual true big AAA releases, there's probably like 20 games in a year, right? And I would say at least 10 or 12 of them got delayed at some point in their lifespan. So,
and the worst part is, this is like, we always complain about so many games trying to like bulk up the fall, and then a bunch of them, usually the games that get delayed are the fall games, and they get delayed to spring. It's like, maybe if you just weren't trying to bulk up a season that's already full of games, just take your time.
Put them in the summer, Jared. I've been saying it.
I think also we've been hearing a lot of talk about publishers and heads of companies saying, we're actually going to change the way we're releasing games, and we're going to be talking about the games way closer to release than normal. We're changing that stuff, and a lot of them talk about how Bethesda changed that. And I think a lot of these games, and we'll go into this later in the show, it has to do with obviously Jordan's topic. I think a lot of games were announced or talked about before that whole Bethesda Fallout 4 thing, that event, and they're kind of suffering the breadcrumb trail of video game release, of people getting tired of hearing tidbit. Just release your game already. I don't want to see it delayed again. I just want to see it out,
Yeah.
So,
remember last year's E3 2015 at the EA conference when they were the one that had the Mass Effect reveal trailer. The opening statement from the dude was, the games that you're about to see today are either out this year or next year. Of course, we know that's not the case with Mass Effect Andromeda, but I think these publishers, they can only help themselves by making the reveal time shorter. We're living in the internet age. You can get the information out quickly, and everyone will know that your game's coming out. Why the fuck do you need more than 6 months for a game to be revealed,
Exactly.
Dude, the Fallout 4 method was so much more effective, I think, in marketing too.
Yeah.
Because, it was a couple days before something came up on their website with a countdown.
Yeah.
And then you started seeing not necessarily leaks, but like some words floating around of maybe this is going on,
Yeah.
Not full on leaks, but like that was like, I remember an anticipation of, because we all knew what it was, but it still like got me so hyped. And then they had that blowout event, like, with just so much Fallout. There's a mobile game, like, just all this stuff. And I think that hyped me up way more than a long marketing cycle would.
That's an interesting point, because you talked about how you already knew what it was. Well, that was because of the gigantic Reddit leak where the lady came in and said that, hey, it's going to be in Boston. It's going to be in Boston. Well, it all came true.
I'll have to go back and read it, but I didn't believe that, and I'll see how much of it is actually ended up being true.
Of that was true.
I would say 50+%. Yeah, and
but a lot of that was already leaked, though.
No, she was the first person. Yeah, she was the first person.
Like, most people knew it was going to be in Boston.
Well, no, the only information we had before that, it was that somebody spotted a Bethesda scout in Boston. That's literally the only...
they were at UMass taking pictures.
Yeah, that's the only evidence we had before her.
Well, and they hinted at it in Fallout 3 heavily, too.
Well, yeah, but this lady was the big leak. That's why we knew everything, and most of the information she said was correct. And the stuff that wasn't correct, you could tell it was... She
probably
so early, that they had probably just changed their plans.
Well, okay. When I said we all knew what it was, I meant more along the lines of we knew it was the next Fallout game, and that was essentially it.
My point was
that's what I was getting at, I guess.
Do you guys think that they held that game so tight and close to the chest and only revealed it 8 months before release because of that gigantic Reddit leak? Do you think that was the case?
No,
I don't think it was that. I think that that was their plan all along. And the weird conversation with this, too, is people think that it has to be a huge company that does this. I don't think that's necessarily the case. One of the issues with For Honor, which I think is going to be a cool game and everything, I think Ubisoft is actually losing some of that heat because I remember for E3 when my friends watched the For Honor trailer, they're like, I'm so excited, that game looks so cool. And these aren't like avid video game enthusiasts like me. They don't watch video game podcasts. They don't listen to them, anything. They're just average gamers, right? Whatever that means. And now when I said I got into the For Honor Alpha, they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you remember the game with the swords that the guys are fighting? They're like, I don't remember. Oh yeah, and they're kind of lackluster. When I remember at E3, they were so excited, and if that game was coming out this fall, maybe they'd be like, I'm gonna keep that in my brain. But since it's next year, they just forget about it.
Yep, it's the way to go, man. Publishers are scared to do that because they think they have it nailed into their brains that if we reveal For Honor at E3 and then release it in the fall, people aren't going to know about it by then. We're not going to have told enough people. The information won't have spread. Yeah. It's like, what? This is not fucking 1955. Like, information gets out there quick.
Also,
you got to get it out before people, like you just said, people don't even care about it anymore.
Exactly, and everyone's not Bethesda and Todd Howard, but I guarantee you, if like Ubisoft, the really cool guy that came out and announced For Honor, the guy with the cane with the beard, looks like a part of the cast of Sons of Anarchy. If that dude, if they announce that game at E3, it comes out in the fall, and he just goes on a media tour going on, P.S. I Love You or Beyond or any of these really big podcasts, and they just circulate that way, the game will sell itself. The core audience watches E3 and they get excited for stuff and they want to buy it soon enough. The guys that are more invested in like listen to all the podcasts and do all this stuff, if you go out there and you do a media tour, you show you're invested in the community as well, and they're willing to buy your game that quick too. I think the landscape's changing for the better. I'm tired of hearing about a game and then 2 years later it comes out, or 10 years, so.
Not only that, but hardcore gamers, for the most part, a lot of times sell casual gamers on these types of games.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I've sold my friends on countless indie games. Sorry, Dom.
So Jared, what else got delayed?
Oh yeah, the last story here before we jump into the topics. Don't want to talk about it too long because my topic kind of pertains to the game, but PlayStation blog, Shuhei, our boy Shuhei, which I would love to see
Christ.
at E3.
Of the 2 games that could not have been delayed this year, right?
Exactly, and you don't show him off at the PlayStation meeting or E3, but you have him write this blog to make everyone sad. Anyways, an update on The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian development team is fast approaching major milestones in production and has made the tough decision to delay the release of The Last Guardian a few weeks. The Last Guardian will launch on December 6th, and basically he goes into what we've heard. You know, they want to make the game better, yada, yada, yada. Delay speak, nothing too crazy. I'm not familiar with the PlayStation ecosystem that much. Is Shuhei usually the one that writes these things?
Fuck no.
Do you think this? Do you think they had him intentionally write this because they felt it would go over a little bit better if Shuhei's name was on it?
Yeah, usually it'd be Ryan Clements or Sid Schumann, like somebody that works at the PlayStation blog. That was the, like, who's gonna yell at Shuhei is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get mad at Shuhei, especially the hardcore PlayStation Nation, and it's just horseshit, man. These 2 games, Final Fantasy 15 and Last Guardian, have no right to be delaying themselves this close to release. You've had 10 years, right? And then 4 weeks. 4 weeks, yeah, you have an event or you have this big E3 reveal like Sony did with Last Guardian. And then 4 weeks before the game's supposed to come out, I think it's give or take 4 weeks for both of these games. You're going to delay it a few more weeks. It's like you knew, but you were just scared to say it because these 2 games should not have been delayed of any game in the industry, but you were just so scared to say it. You're like, let's push it as far as we can, and then if we really can't make that date, then we'll have to delay it. But god damn, this is just some mismanagement if I've ever fucking seen it.
I'm like sick of it, dude. Like, just shut up and then let us know when it's done.
Exactly.
That's it. At this point.
Yeah. So
I will
Last
not be
Guardian got
getting
delayed.
these games day one. I was definitely thinking about getting Final Fantasy day one. I will not buy either of these games day one.
Yeah.
At all. No way.
Exactly. I don't think the publishers deserve your money that quick.